Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I have my April reading plans. First, how in the world is it already April? I do not know where this year has gone. It is flying by. Good or bad, it's flying by. So yeah, woo. But for my April reading plans, TBR, pile of possibilities, I have a few different stacks here that you can't see. They're off camera. One is my stack of committed reads that I know I will be reading. They are the ones that I will be focusing on, and I am trying to keep that list very small. Small for me, which I know is still quite a few books, but I did that in March. I pared down my TBR and I ended up with having all of this time to just read some other things. I was able to read 3 women's prize books. I was able to read a murder mystery. I was able to read Legends and Lattes, which I'm not sure how you qualify that or how you classify that particular book, but it has been so much fun to just kind of pick up some things and read whatever. And I want to try and make sure I have time to do that. So I don't know if I will, but I try to keep my committed reads down to a reasonable list. So we'll see. I did also sign up for the BookTube prize. I don't know if I'm going to read for it or not. We'll see. I won't know that until after the first, but we'll deal with it if that happens. So the first book is going to be, of course, I always start off with my books for my 1001 book countdown, and my first book is for my book club. And that book is Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. This book, I have not read any Rushdie yet. And I know very little about this one other than it's about children who were born at midnight on the day of India's independence. That's pretty much the only thing I know about it. I'm hoping that I end up loving this. I don't know though. It'll be my first attempt, so we'll see. I'm optimistic. I will leave my link to the Discord server in the description below if you would like to join me in trying to read this particular book. Fingers crossed I can make it through it. For the book club, I really put a concentrated effort on finishing it. I haven't had to DNF a book club pick yet, so we'll see. But I will leave that linked in the description below. There's no schedule, there's no timeline other than I'm reading this in April. So that's my first 1001 book club pick, or my book pick. My second book is Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky. I am actually doing this as a buddy read with Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf and Gemma from Gemma Books. Alice and I have talked about reading this book for a very long time. I'm going to say over a year, because this is on her giant bookshelf, her big TBR, and it's on my 1001 book list. So it was one of the ones we said really early we would try and read together. And now it has come to be that we are reading it in April. This book, I read The Brothers Karamazov in December and I got through it. I liked parts of it, didn't like other parts of it, so I'm excited to pick up another book by Dostoevsky to see what I think. This one seems like a reasonable length when you look at it, and then you can open it and see how tiny is this font. Why, okay. We're planning on reading about 30 pages a day of this particular book. So it feels reasonable, this along with Salman Rushdie, though. I don't know. I might wait a week to start reading the Salman Rushdie book. This one we start on the 1st of April. So Crime and Punishment. And these are the only 1001 books that are on my TBR for April. I know. I have 40 something books to read still off of my 52 list, but I'm just having so much fun having a little bit of flexibility in there and picking them up as they kind of see, as I want to pick them up. So that's what my current plans are for the 1001 book list. It may change. I don't know. We'll see what I feel like after I start reading. And then last year I started reading with a group for a sci-fi reading group, which I don't read a ton of sci-fi, so I wanted to be able to read more sci-fi books. So I've been reading books with Gemma from Gemma Books, Sarah from Freshly Read Books, and Fraser Simon from Springboard Thought. And we are picking up the 4th book in the Becky Chambers series. We've read the other 3 together, and that is The Galaxy and the Ground Within. 4th book in the Becky Chambers series. This will close out the series. I am ecstatic to be able to read this one. I really had a lot of fun reading the first book, and I like the third book, so I'm curious to see what I think of the fourth book. The last three books, there's only a very slight relationship to the characters in the book, so I'm really curious what this one does. This one is not a big book at all, so I am not worried about finishing this one. Plus, I think this series is so much fun. Can't wait to pick up Becky Chambers. So far we have a Russian classic, we have a Salman Rushdie, we have a sci-fi, and then for my subscriber favorite project that I started after doing my 901 books tag, my subscriber favorite pick for the month of April will be Say Nothing, a true story of murder and memory in Northern Ireland by Patrick Radden Keefe. This was Fraser Simon's favorite, one of Fraser Simon's favorites. I will be doing this as a buddy read with Shelley Swearingen and my friend Sonia. Very excited to read this with them. I love reading with them. It's always a lot of fun. This particular author also wrote Empire of Pain, which I loved. I read that last year for the BookTube Prize, and it was incredible. So I cannot wait to pick up this particular one. It also will fit another event that I will talk about. So I kind of get to double dip a little bit with this one in order to support that particular event. But Say Nothing, that's my subscriber favorite. My other project that I've been doing is my new to me author project, and for that one I am going to go with You by Carolyn Kepnes. This particular book has a character whose name is Joe Goldberg, and I have wanted to read this for a while. I also really want to watch the series. I think I watched the first season initially but hadn't read the book. Now I really want to read the book, so I'm going to pick this one. I think it'll be good. I'm interested in it. I think it'll be a fun one. I really do want to read it, so I'm going to prioritize it this month. And the last book for my projects that I've had is about the health and the body books. And for this month, I actually have an ARC. I got an ARC from NetGalley for Metabolism Makeover, and I am so excited. I'll put the cover up here for you because the last few books that I have read basically told me how badly I've destroyed my metabolism and made it so I just didn't necessarily feel super good about everything with me. So I'm hoping this gives me something more actionable that I might be able to focus on. I'm very action list oriented. Obviously, I have huge lists of everything. Of all my books. So I'm hoping this one gives me a little bit more information and something else I can maybe do or track. So I'm excited to pick up that one. And that's actually it, everyone. That's all I put on my official TBR are those, right? Plus the Metabolism Makeover. That for me is not a very, very big number of books. I usually read significantly more than that, but that's what I'm putting on my official to give me, just some breathing room. I'm just gonna, and then if I judge for the BookTube Prize, cool. I have one other possible that is a group read with Jack over at Spread Book Joy, Dia at Novel Idea, and Gemma from Gemma Books. So if we read this, we'll be reading 3 books together, Gemma. And it is The Keeper 6 by Kate Elliott. This group has been lovely to read with because that is a fantasy group. We read Tagana together. And now this one is kind of on deck. I don't know when we're starting it. It's very slim, so I'm not concerned about it. But that's the other one that's a maybe. Now, there are 2 events that are happening in April. There's more than 2 events that are happening in April, but there's 2 events that I really want to participate in. And I have a pile of possibilities for one and a pile of possibilities for the other. And we'll see how it goes. The first one is People April, which is being hosted by Elizabeth over at Bookends and Books and Roz over at Scalladandling About the Books. Oh my goodness. So sorry. And so that one is all about reading biographies, autobiographies, memoirs, diaries, letters, things like that. So and it's basically about people. So this book, like I said, is about a person. This one is about, in December 1972, Jean McConville, a 38-year-old mother of 10, oh my goodness, was dragged from her Belfast home by masked intruders, her children clinging to her legs. They never saw her again. So it feels like it would fit for People April, but there's also a group read. And I did join the Voxer group for this group read. The group read is for The Five by Haley Rubenhold, The Untold Lives of the Women Killed by Jack the Ripper. I'm fascinated. I do like true crime. I do like crime novels. I do like that. And I like nonfiction. I can't wait to read this one. I actually voted for this one in the poll, so I'm so glad it won. But yeah, this is the one, is their group read for People April. And then I do have a stack of other biographies, memoirs that I would love to be able to pick up, some that have been languishing on my shelf for way too long. So the first one being Cleopatra by Stacy Schiff. I think I picked this one up last year as for one of the readathons and didn't get to it. I would love to read this one. The next one that I have is I Am Malala. I think I picked this one up for an Asian readathon. I want to say maybe the first year I was doing BookTube, so almost 2 years ago now, and haven't gotten to it. So this would be another great pick. I also have Becoming by Michelle Obama. Yeah, I've wanted to read this one. Again, it just never seems to make it on my priority list. So these are a few different ones. And the last one is not a very big volume, and it is Baggage, Tales from a Fully Packed Life by Alan Cumming. I would love to read this one as well. I think he's hilarious. I just really would like to read more about him. I know that this is his second book. I almost want to pick up the first one, the first memoir that he has, but this is the one I own. So I would love to read, obviously, I would love to read all these. I would, but this is just a big pile of possibilities. I highly doubt I'm going to get to really many of these. I have nowhere to put these. I am obviously prioritizing out of these The Five, which is the group read. And since this one does count, these ones feel possible. This one especially because I have buddy reading plans, and this one because it is the group read. I think those are doable. So, but I'm not going to pressure myself. I'm just going to, these are just possibles. The other event that is happening in April is TransgirlApril, which is hosted by Kevy over at Say Kevy, and also hosted by Books and Bow, I believe is the channel name. And Kevy and I have done a number of buddy reads together, so I'm very thrilled to be able to support this particular event in April. I know there's a couple of group reads. I will leave Kevy's channel linked in the description below so you can go and check it all out. The books that I have are a mixture, and I did go shop my own bookshelf for ways to support this particular event. And the first one I saw as a recommendation on Scott over at Gunpowder Fiction and Plot, and it is The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles. I understand that this is a trans author but doesn't feature a trans character, and it is all about someone who comes home after contracting AIDS or getting AIDS. That's what my limited understanding. I'm nervous about reading this particular one because the back of the book says, I'll say it, this book broke me. Do I want to cry? Because I know I'll cry. So this is the first book. The other book I actually got as a recommendation from Kevy on her recommendations video, and I saw it on That's So Poe as well, and that is Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. Okay, but this particular one, the back of this one says, Shizuka Satomi made a deal with the devil to escape damnation. She must entice 7 other violin prodigies to trade their souls for success. She has already delivered 6. I really want to read this one. So I'm excited about this particular one. If I can read this one, I'd be thrilled. And then the last one, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through. I will be honest with you. This is the 3rd time it's shown up on my channel, and I can't get past a particular line in it, and it is Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin. Yeah. I've tried to read this a couple times. I get stuck. I read a particular line and just go, no. And the line is early. It's like on page 6 and just can't quite get through it. So we'll see. I mean, Kevy told me about this one as well, actually, and I just haven't been able to quite make it through. I don't read a lot of horror, and this one, there's just something about it that's not quite working for me. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll be in the mood for a really twisted horror tale. We'll see. But that is the other one. Are you participating in any events in April? Are you reading anything for People April or TransgirlApril? I'd love to hear that in the comments down below. Have you read any Salman Rushdie? Do you have any tips? Because if you have some tips, I would take them. And that's what I have. I'm excited for April though. I am excited about only really having an official pile and then a bunch of possibilities. So I know that, like I said, the 1001 list is kind of languishing out there. I'll get to it. I will. I have some plans for later this year, but so far I'm just having so much fun. And then if I read for the BookTube prize, I have no idea what it has to swap out. Something will have to swap out, but that's what I have for you today. I hope you're enjoying spring. I hope it's spring where you are, or spring has managed to appear. It's trying where I'm at. It is. It's going to come. It's going to get there. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks. Bye.